Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, these are going to be the videos where I cover the markets, right? Mainly Bitcoin dominance, altcoin dominance, and of course, we will be following the global liquidity. These videos will be having a specific type of thumbnail, very similar to the ones that we post, but in the right corner, you will be able to see the sniper logo. So you'll know that this is always going to be the general market update video, right? And I want to be doing these. I want to be doing this, maybe every 2 days, every 3 days. It depends how much movement, how much volatility, and what is expected to be happening in the markets. Okay. So it's going to range a little bit in terms of uploads and everything, but overall, there'll still be at least like 2 to 3 videos at the bare minimum a week, giving you an overall market update. So yeah, let's just jump right into this. We can see overall, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an adventure, right? We know for the last few weeks, we've kind of expected for Bitcoin to do what it's been mainly doing. Now, the only thing that has been a little bit off was I did think last week's recovery candle would go potentially already higher, kind of where we are right now in terms of Bitcoin and its price. But overall, everything else was to the T, right? When we bring up the global liquidity index, right? When we bring it up, and we're going to change the color very quickly so it's easier to see, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, right? When we go and look, we knew we were somewhere over here, right? We knew that, okay, take it from here, 91 days out was the top of the new all-time high, and we knew it was not going to just pump and pump and pump. In fact, someone lost $100 million because they were so confident. They kind of got in at around 109k. Their stop loss was 103k, and I knew they're going to be liquidated. All right, I knew because of the market manipulation I expected with Bitcoin. Okay, so we had this, right, 91 days top. We knew it was going to be a fake out because we swept the last previous highs of the all-time high, right? See, we swept these highs over here. Boom, we faked out. We went to the downside. Why did we go to the downside? Well, after a fake out, usually just some type of pullback plus global liquidity, 91 days was absolutely perfect. Okay, then we had a huge pump, right? We had a huge pump in global liquidity, but it didn't really necessarily match with Bitcoin. Okay, it didn't. Half of it still played out, right? If we remove the indicator for a second, half of it played out. We knew at the bare minimum that this over here was going to get taken out, right? This over here. Why? Because that was the last weekly close over here, and we knew at the bare minimum. But I was even saying, like, guys, look, there's just so much liquidity in these last 3 weekly candles. There's no way this bottom over here does not get swept. And for you that were in the live stream, or maybe I mentioned a video, or if you're in the Discord, I took a trade literally at the bottom right over here. I saw a break of structure on the 5 minute, right? I saw a break of structure, and we made very nice profits because our trade was something like this. Well, we had a 1-to-1 initially, right? The first one was kind of a 1-to-1. We actually took 2 trades. It was something like this, right? It was like a 1-to-1, more or less. And then the other one was a little bit further pulled back. I don't remember the exact thing. It was like 2K less, 2K less for stop loss. And then we pretty much took it out for the highs we had on Friday, right? It was actually, the ratio was a little bit better. It was more like 2.5. And there we go, right? Boom, because with the prop firm I'm with, I cannot hold over the weekend. They don't allow you to hold over the weekend. So I was like, all right, these are probably gonna be the Friday tops based off the candles I saw. And boom, very nice, right? And we can see we got a continuation through Saturday and Sunday. Yes, I expected Sunday overall to explode a little bit better, but we can see, ladies and gentlemen, the moment it turned Monday, right? Pretty much the moment it turned Monday, we went from 105,000, let's just say 500, right? All the way up until 110,500. So we went 5 grand in just a couple of hours, right? In just a couple of hours, half a day later, we were up $5,000 on Bitcoin. We can see that overall Tuesday has been selling off. But for me, the only reason why I say that is because I saw a gap, right? I saw a gap over here. We can see boom, boom, boom. I'm not sure if it's going to show on this chart necessarily, but I could promise you when I looked at MT4, there was a gap somewhere over here, right? Somewhere over here. And we can see, right? We went perfectly into it. We went a little bit lower, which is kind of sometimes expected, right? We tapped into this 5-minute candle, right? We can see tap into it. And then we broke this structure, right? We broke this structure. So we broke this structure. We can see instant reaction, instant. Now, this may be the potential bottom, right? The last relevant bottom. I do believe overall, we are going to be aiming for all-time highs this week, and we should be honestly pumping. Like we really should. I expect this 120K Bitcoin by mid-June. The latest it should be going is like mid to late June, like the 20th, right? Because it'll be the week after. But overall, we're still on track. We're just slightly lagging behind, just slightly. But yeah, we can see also in terms of the micro move, right? I already have it drawn out, but we did, ladies and gentlemen, break out from this zone. All right, we can see we're kind of at a trend line. We broke up. So right now, right, we are getting a little bit of a sell-off, but would not surprise me if we come back to roughly 109,600, somewhere over here, to then push up higher. Because I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, that we should be pumping. And most likely, the Wednesday candle is going to be the bigger pump. That is what I think is going to happen. But yeah, overall, it is looking very solid, right? Very solid. Remember back here when I was saying, guys, look, like it broke structure, right? It rebroke structure to the upside. But I was like, for me, this is just a fake. This is just a fake, right? We just took out this liquidity over here, and then we just absolutely slammed. We called it on YouTube. We called it in the Discord. We called it in live streams. We're saying, guys, look, these candles over here were very similar to here. We had 3 days of mediocre pumps, 3 days of mediocre pumps, right? Then we had a lower high created, and then we had 2 days of pretty bad sell-off, slow, and then the next day sold off, right? Sold off. And for this, in this instance, it sold off for 2 days, but here it sold off for 1, but it doesn't really matter. It's still the same thing played out ultimately, right? And now we can see the huge change of momentum. We can see that today was a retest pullback candle after a huge pump. And that's what I do believe Wednesday, right? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday should be these types of candles, but 2 new all-time highs. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye. Portfolio reviews, economic and global updates and news, frequent up-to-date technical analysis, and a very supportive community. Sell and buy calls and trading education is provided. If that sounds good to you, now is the time to act. Once the markets start moving, there is no I should've, coulda, woulda. Now is the time. If you want to take things to another level, we have the blueprint that covers everything from A to Z in crypto that you need. No fluff, no bullshit, just the most important news, fundamentals, and technicals to have you succeed in these markets.